Makes Tuesday Night Baseball better by rewarding their customers with exclusive ballpark access and experiences. Visit SNY.TV/Verizon to learn how you can get access and rewards like these lucky fans. Get to Citi Field Saturday, June 18th. Watch the Mets take on the Braves at 8:15 p.m. Multi-platinum pop artist Andy Grammer will perform following the game as part of the Mets post-game concert series presented by Budweiser. Admission to the concert is included in the price of the game ticket. For tickets, visit Mets.com/concerts. Now time for greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile and the incredible Clayton Kershaw, who threw a 2-hit complete game shutout last night. He actually walked a batter. His 5th walk against 95 strikeouts this year. The guy is just off the charts.
I mean, you see the 3 shutouts. 2 of those were 1-0 games, and in one of the games he knocked in the only run.
He wasn't the only pitcher in the NL West to throw a 2-hit 1-0 shutout last night. Johnny Cueto did too. There's Ty Kelly, who makes his major league debut tonight. Kelly will play third base and bat 8th for the Mets. Spent 8 years in the minor leagues. Mets are his 5th different organization, and he finally gets a crack at the big time, trying to support Matt Harvey as he goes to the mound for the Mets. Load up on the nachos and get ready. First pitch is coming right up. Battle of the Dodgers at 8 o'clock. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a 1986 replica World Championship ring presented by H.L. Gross and Brothers Jewelers. After the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/1986. Your Mets starting lineup tonight brought to you by Geico. David Wright has the night off. He played 3 days in a row. He'll play tomorrow. So as Drupal Cabrera moves up to the 2-hole, Ty Kelly gets his first big league start. Mets have 3 switch hitters in the lineup tonight against Steven Strasburg.
Well, not only has he gotten off to a great start, but the Nationals are almost averaging 7 runs every time he takes the mound. So that hasn't hurt that perfect record. For a big man, and Steven's a big man, he has a very compact, nice motion, easy, a little mechanical, but once he gets to the end there, has great arm speed.
Pitched 6 innings against the Mets last week, struck out 10, including striking out the side in the first inning.
Same outfield as last night. Coors Light defense. Worth, Revere, Harper. In the infield, Rendon is catching fire. Espinoza is not. Murphy just continues to hit. Zimmerman at first base, and Wilson Ramos behind the plate again.
Dusty Baker's team hanging on to first place by their fingernails. They're a half game up on the Mets going into the night.
I talked with Dusty today. I said, how are you doing? He said, doing great. I said, boy, you got a good ball club here. He said, doesn't matter our ball club. That ball club's pretty good too. September's when it's going to matter. And he was so right.
Well, certainly last year it came down to those 2 late series, the one in late July, early August, the one in September. The Mets swept them both, and that swept them into the division crown.
They play each other 6 times in 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of September.
Mark it on your calendar. Curtis Granderson will lead off. Last few days have been very encouraging for Curtis. 4 for 10, 3 walks and a hit by pitch over the last 3 games as he looks to perk up his season. His on-base percentage finally back over 300. Strasburg's first pitch hit in the air to right center field. This one's playable for Ben Revere, and Revere puts it away for the first out. So Granderson, who twice has hit the first pitch of games for home runs, trying to do it again, but coming up a little short.
Well, he only swings at the first pitch 6% of the time, but we've seen against really good pitchers tries to ignite this offense and had a pitch to hit there.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, 2 hits and an RBI last night. His bat has really been smoking, particularly with runners in scoring position, something the Mets have been looking for, and Cabrera lately has been providing. Asdrubal's hit in 6 straight games. And Strasburg starts him off with a fastball for a strike. Cabrera moved up to second in the order with Wright out of the lineup, and he has been very effective in this spot. Thinking about the bunt and takes it inside, a ball and a strike.
Well, every time a team after 1 strikes gives him the bunt, Cabrera's always watching and will attempt it.
Rendon playing well back and off the line at third, tempting Cabrera further.
Filthy breaking ball there by Strasburg. I mean, he missed this ball by a foot.
One, 2 from Strasburg, and Cabrera fouls off the curveball. Michael Conforto back in the lineup after sitting against the lefty last night. He's had to answer a lot of questions the last 24 hours about the big glove.
It's like, what do you want from me? Never played there before.
Well, he's going to take some ground balls at first base, but short term, that's not the plan. The plan is to try and make do with what they have and maybe look outside the organization to fill in while Lucas Duda is out. 75 and sunny tonight.
Very nice.
2-2. Swing and a miss, and Cabrera's out on strikes, and there are 2 men down. MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Just fastball in, spotted well, right at the belt.
So now Conforto with 2 out and nobody on, and a terrific series against Milwaukee at Citi Field. 4 for 10, couple of home runs. Michael in the top 10 in the National League in slugging percentage, category that Yoenis Cespedes, who's on deck, leads by a large margin. And he fouls off the fastball, and Strasburg ahead 0-2. There is Cespedes, who just keeps on impressing day after day. Terry Collins said it today. He was asked about Cespedes. He says he's a star. He does what stars do. And he has been exactly that. 0-2 to Conforto, and he struck him out on 3 pitches. Strasburg with back-to-back strikeouts to finish a 1-2-3 opening inning. Now Matt Harvey takes the mound. No score in Washington. Monday's starting lineup for the Nationals. Dusty Baker running out the same unit as last night when the Nats were held to 1 run and 6 hits by Bartolo Colon and the Mets bullpen. And tonight that Nats lineup faces Matt Harvey for the second time in a week.
Well, really all you have to look at is he has lost 6 of his 9 starts with that inflated ERA. Whip 1.66. And just like Strasburg, we're going to take a look at Matt's motion. Closes up pretty well there, and he'll throw a little bit across his body, and when he opens up, that's when he really lets it go. We'll see if he can get his velocity back too in this game.
Ben Revere leads off 0 for 3 last night. He takes the fastball inside. Revere had perked up the last few days before this series began, coming back from a month on the sidelines with an oblique injury, and Harvey quickly falls behind 2-0. That looked like he was coming out of things in San Diego 3 starts back, had maybe his best start of the season, struck out 10 in 6 innings, but the last 2 in Colorado and then against Washington, not good at all. 2-1 to Revere. In fact, his last start, 2 2/3 innings, 9 runs. A Mets starter had not given up that many runs in less than 3 innings since Octavio Dotel in 1999. And Harvey behind it, his opening hitter, 3-1. Jason Worth on deck and Bryce Harper behind him. Revere has drawn only 3 walks this season, and he's drawn his 4th. So a leadoff walk issued by Harvey.
Not the start Matt was looking for. Defensively behind Matt in tonight's game. The Lexus defense. Conforto back in there with Cespedes and Granderson. Ty Kelly gets his first start in the major leagues at third base. Cabrera, Walker, and Campbell, and Plawecki behind the plate. Ty Kelly, born on the same day as Steven Strasburg. Taken in the same draft as Steven Strasburg.
Strasburg, the first overall pick. Kelly went in the 13th round.
385 picks away.
Jason Worth takes a strike. Worth 2 hits last night. He has really taken to this second spot in the batting order. It was really interesting to hear Worth's comments about moving up to the 2-hole.
He's a real thinker, I guess I should say. He was saying that he just couldn't get into the rhythm of the game down in the 6th hole, and he went through this long illustrated feeling about he didn't feel part of the game.
He says he has a purpose in the 2-hole. I didn't have a purpose hitting 6th. Now I have a purpose. Well, he's hitting .344 over the last 9 games since Dusty put him up there.
He said, I'd rather hit 8th. Put me 8th. I'll take my walks. I'll figure it out at some point.
Well, Worth and Harper were both out for early batting practice today. And Worth just turned 37 years old and may be on the downside of his career, but he can still be a valued player, and he's trying to be just that in this second spot in the batting order. Revere, a base stealer. He's only got 2 so far this year, but always a threat to go. And Harvey, who's been a little more vulnerable to the steal this year, keeps an eye on him.
Throwing over more also this year.
That's given up 6 stolen bases through his first 9 starts. Not quite Syndergaard-esque, but more than usual. Little tapper back to Matt. A play at second. Cabrera with the turn for the 1-6-3 double play. Beautifully done. Harvey handling it nicely, and Cabrera flashing across the bag.
Well, textbook here by Harvey to Cabrera, and beautiful footwork by Cabrera. Watch how he gets out of the way of the sliding Revere. Takes that right leg out of the way. The thing about Harvey that he did so well there is he turned his body. Once he was turned, he was open enough to throw that ball to second base to get rid of it quickly.
So Revere is erased, 2 out and nobody on, and now Bryce Harper, who finally got a hit against Harvey last week at Citi Field. He is now 1 for 22 in his career against Matt. And it's not just Harvey. The Mets have handled Harper very well. His lifetime batting average against the Mets is only .260, and really he hasn't been hitting against anybody lately. Over the last 25 games, Harper's hitting just .183. Of course, he's drawn an enormous number of walks over that span. And a quick bat, but he fouls back the fastball 0-2.
Terry Collins had an interesting take on Harper today, didn't he? Talking about Bryce's, struggling right now. He said, listen, when you're a hitter and you don't get any pitches to hit via intentionally walked or walked, sometimes you can go into a slump.
Harvey quickly ahead 0-2. And he works Harper inside with a slider. Well, we talked about it last night, and we've talked about it a few times with Harper, making the comparison to Barry Bonds, who was walked so often and yet was able to hit that one pitch that was available to him. Hasn't been so easy for Harper yet.
Well, I'm thinking that has to be a slider there by Matt. You see, he tried to have his hand pull it down more. That was more like a cutter than a slider.
I was thinking it's almost like he's developed a little bit of a cutter. 2-2 coming, and Harper fouls off the fastball.
The thing about Harper, Keith talks about it all the time, very unusual swing. He opens up that right shoulder, unlike most great hitters. So that ball on the outside seems to give him trouble, makes him vulnerable.
We've seen him drive that pitch over the left field fence in the past. Daniel Murphy would be next. Harper pulls one on the ground. Walker on the backhand. And that retires the side. So a successful opening inning for Matt Harvey after a leadoff walk. He gets Harper to ground out. Bryce now 1 for 23 against Harvey. No score. Tonight's Verizon trivia question. Very early view of the Verizon trivia question. 5 Met pitchers who've thrown multiple innings in a single All-Star game. Yoenis Cespedes leads off the second, takes a strike from Steven Strasburg. Cespedes homered last night, his 3rd home run in 4 career games in this building. 3 homers and 3 doubles and 8 RBIs in 4 games in this ballpark. Cespedes leading the major leagues in home runs with 15. It's the latest in a season that any Met has had the outright major league home run lead since Dave Kingman in 1982.
That was amazing when I saw that.
Oh, foul back and out of play, 1-2.
Well, if you're going to seek your baseball asylum, it's all right to be thankful in Washington, D.C., right, for Cespedes.
Leads the National League in RBIs, leads in slugging percentage. Just having a phenomenal first 2 months. And since his day of arrival with the Mets, August 1st last year, tied for the major league lead in home runs with 32 with the 2 Chris Davises. Chris with a C and Chris with a K.
Chris with a K. Is it K-H-R-I-S?
Yes.
Yes. Cespedes, of those 3, certainly by far the most well-rounded player. It's a grip of Strasburg.
97 from Strasburg. Neil Walker hitting 5th in the order. Eric Campbell behind him. David Wright out of the lineup. The last part of the Mets batting order looking a lot less than formidable. That's drilled to right field, but right at Harper, and he picks it off for the first out. Cespedes hitting a bullet the other way.
Well, it doesn't matter what the other hitters do in front of him. It seems like every time Cespedes is up, he hits a bullet somewhere. This one right at Harper. Fastball away and up. He just goes with it. Fine hitting. Just right at Harper.
So 1 out and nobody on now. Neil Walker, who homered last night right behind Cespedes. It was the 7th time already this year the Mets have hit back-to-back home runs. We're less than 2 months into the season. The club record is 13 sets of back-to-back home runs, so they're more than halfway there.
Wow.
And less than a third of the way through the year. Home runs have been the Mets' specialty. They've hit 63 this year, the most in the National League. And Walker's been a big part of that. 11 home runs already after hitting 16 all of last year. Eric Campbell hitting 6th in the order tonight, playing first base again.
Well, it's really the surprising part is that he's been so proficient right-handed also.
Popped up in foul ground, and that ball will land in the dugout and out of play. .63 home runs, tops in the National League, tied for 2nd in the major leagues.
Good differential though, and the home runs they give up, and as opposed to hit, is amazing.
Well, the Mets have given up the fewest home runs of any team in the majors, only 27 compared to the 63 they've hit. Here's the 1-2 coming, and he strikes out Walker with a fastball. 3rd strikeout in the first 5 batters for Strasburg.
Well, you can see against the left-handed hitters, this is where his attack is going to be. He did it against Cabrera for the strikeout, and now against Neil Walker. Right above that belt inside. That's always a hole for most left-handed hitters.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Campbell, who was 0 for 3 last night, drove in a run with a sacrifice fly. Good slider by Strasburg. That's the new pitch in Strasburg's repertoire. It's always been a fastball, curveball, changeup guy, but much like Noah Syndergaard, he has embraced the slider.
It'll be interesting to see if there's any repercussions from throwing that cutter or slider. Sometimes it can really tense up your forearm. That's a tough pitch on your forearm.
Well, we heard it from Steven Matz, who developed the slider last year, and it may stop throwing it now after the forearm issues that he went through a couple of weeks ago. He barely threw the slider in his last start, and Steven's pitching tomorrow. It'll be interesting to watch, see if he throws any sliders at all.
Especially because it would be a great weapon for him against Harper.
Campbell starting for the 12th time in the last 16 days for Everyday Eric. Well, and that's when he's been able to go to the mound. It's been just spectacular. 6 wins in his last 6 starts. First Met to do that since R.A. Dickey. And he'll go for number 7 tomorrow. It's a day game tomorrow, 1 o'clock. It's supposed to be warm, 85 degrees.
Right up your alley, Gary.
Baseball weather.
Polos.
Almost there. 2-2 coming. And Campbell takes up and away with a slider, full count.
I don't have mine anyway, so suit and tie.
Maybe Monday, maybe Memorial Day.
Oh, nice.
An afternoon game with the White Sox that day. 3-2 from Strasburg, and it's in there for a call, strike 3. Gets Campbell looking. 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Strasburg. He's retired the first 6. Harvey back to the mound for the bottom of the 2nd. No score. Home 2nd inning. Daniel Murphy will lead off against Matt Harvey. Murphy homered against Harvey last week in New York. Murph still leading the major leagues in batting at .389. 65 base hits. Harvey comes in on him, and Murph yanks it foul. It looked like a cutter again, didn't it?
Yeah.
So it looks like Harvey's been working on a new pitch since his last start. It's a pitch we have not really seen him throw before. Ryan Zimmerman on deck, and then Anthony Rendon in the home 2nd.
Again, another hard slider or cutter. Not sure what pitch that is yet.
Oh, 2 coming to Murph. And it's low and away. Ball and 2 strikes. Murphy fouls off the fastball at 96. You know, it strikes me that Matt Harvey's a guy who's been used his entire career to have every eye on him, and now every eye on him is on him for an entirely different reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange place to be. I mean, all of these players have been, usually with a few exceptions, have been great since they were 6 or 7 years old.
Strikes out Murphy with the high fastball. So Murph, generally one of the toughest hitters to strike out in the majors, goes after a high fastball and goes down swinging.
Well, we talked about when he was 0-2 in that last start where Murphy hit the curveball out for a home run, that you need to be out of the strike zone when you get ahead of a hitter. Certainly did that there.
First strikeout of the night from Matt. But very few reach the pinnacle that Harvey did. You know, the incredible start to his career, starting the All-Star game in his home ballpark, pitching 8 scoreless innings in a World Series game. It's very hard to fall from that pinnacle and now all of a sudden have people looking at you like, well, is he done?
Yeah.
Is there something substantially wrong with him?
And then picked apart piece by piece. You know, mechanically, is there something wrong? His velocity is down. He doesn't look like he's in great shape. I mean, I've heard everything from everyone. And, you know, when the eyeballs are on you, that can be a very comforting thing. And it's great if you're that kind of personality. But when the worm turns, boy, there's no place to hide.
Quickly 0-2 on Ryan Zimmerman, who was 2 for 4 and drove in a run last night. And he overthrew that pitch, 1-2.
Well, see the motion. Watch his right hand. Watch how he kind of cups the ball. That is a different move than he had 2 seasons ago. He used to take that right hand and go right straight back to second base. No cupping of the baseball at all. That's the one difference that I see.
Zimmerman turns on the changeup and pulls it into left field for the first hit of the game for either side. So the Nats have a 1-out base runner. Well, you look at Matt Harvey's numbers this year, and they're very familiar in that. Oh, we're going to see something else. Those are his numbers this year versus last year in terms of his fastball velocity. And
I mean, there's no getting by them. His numbers across the board are numbers that you don't associate with Matt Harvey and his usual domination.
Rendon takes the slider off the plate for ball 1. Rendon 0 for 4 last night, but he has picked it up over the last 2 weeks since being moved down to the 6th spot in the order. And Harvey misses with the fastball and falls behind 2-0. Zimmerman at first and 1 out.
You know, the reason I talk about cupping the ball is because I did it early in my career. Watch the right hand. Cupping the ball means you kind of put it back against your wrist before you let it go. I had to stop doing that, and one of the things that I marveled at Matt Harvey when he first came up is he did not do that. He took it straight back like he was throwing a javelin, straight back to second base and back and through. What happens when you cup the baseball is that it doesn't always come out the same way. So it's harder to find your release point when you're cupping it and then trying to get out in front of you.
So that leads to the obvious question: why did you start doing it?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a bad habit. That's a habit I had to get rid of. So I'm used to seeing that.
Going away to Rendon, 3-1.
How I did it is that how a lot of pitchers did it. That's not unique. I used to stand up against a door, and I would take my arm out and bring it straight up against the door, not cupping it behind me, right up against the wall or the door. And that's the way you got rid of it, over and over again.
3-1, and it's outside ball 4. So there's the second walk Harvey has given up. Well, this is it's an interesting graphic because it's Harvey's numbers this year versus Steven Strasburg's numbers last year through 9 starts.
It's eerily the same. And Strasburg went on the DL 2 times after these numbers, but we gave you the numbers before. He ended the year, and then this year, the last 13 starts he's made, the Nationals are 13-0, and he's gone 10-0. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, or there was for Steven Strasburg.
And Harvey is hoping for a similar rejuvenation. Now he's got to pitch through some trouble here in the second inning. 2 on and 1 out, and Wilson Ramos coming up. Ramos 0 for 3 last night. Zimmerman at second, Rendon at first, and it's grounded toward the hole. Walker flags it down from his knees. He throws him out. Big time play, Neil Walker. That saved a run, and they get Ramos for the second out.
Well, this is one of those things that maybe you think the worm has turned for Harvey. Remember, in his last game, he was a double play away where Cabrera couldn't turn it from getting out of an inning. Well, this time he's saved by his second baseman Walker, who gets the second out of the inning on maybe a run-scoring single.
Now, do you walk Espinosa with first base open, or you go after the struggling number 8 hitter?
I don't walk Espinosa right now, Gary. I just think he's going through a tough stretch.
Only problem is Espinosa 3 for 6 in his career against Harvey.
3 for 6, and but Matt's walked 2 hitters already, so his control is not impeccable. Well, he shouldn't walk a pitcher.
And Pilecki has to go down in the dirt to stop that curveball from going to the backstop.
That being said, if I go 2-0 on him, I would walk him.
The thing about Espinosa is he's not a high average guy, but he's dangerous.
He is.
Gets a hold of one that could be a 3 spot.
Well, what you're usually taught in this position is that you try to make the hitter get himself out. You don't throw anything over the strike zone. You bounce a couple of pitches and see if he'll offer at them. Being a little over anxious because the pitcher's behind him.
And he gets the curveball over, 1-1.
And that's what Matt's doing right here. Bounce the first breaking ball. Now behind in the count, throws another breaking ball for a strike. That's a good pitch. But you never want to give him a fastball to hit over the strike zone, and you want to make him fish if you can. That's how you're taught.
Zimmerman at third, Rendon at second with 2 out. And the fastball inside to Espinosa.
Now that fastball in is a good pitch because it was off the plate. You're hoping that Espinosa maybe pops it up. Now you counter probably with that good changeup down and away out of the strike zone. Have him to try to roll it over.
Two 2-1 coming. And he pops it up into shallow right. Granderson eases in. And that gets Harvey through the bottom of the second. So Matt able to sidestep some trouble with help from a terrific play by Neil Walker. After 2, still no score. forth and doing a little instruction.
Yeah, it's you know, it's nice to see to get him through a couple of innings, and usually only positive stuff you'll get from Dan in game.
Kevin Plawecki leads off the third inning and takes ball one from Strasburg. Plawecki's hit the skids 0 for his last 14 after a very successful last road trip. He's fallen back below 200 for the year. And Strasburg falls behind him 2-0. Ty Kelly getting ready for his first big league at bat, waiting on deck, and then Matt Harvey here in the third. Strasburg has retired 6 in a row, striking out 4. Big hop there for Rendon, and he throws out Plawecki one away. Road ahead presented by GMC. Day game tomorrow. And then the Mets go home to open a series with the Dodgers on Friday night. Weekend celebrating the 1986 championship team. Ceremony Saturday night. Be in your seats by 6:15. That's an order. Well, here's Ty Kelly, who was hitting .391 at Vegas before his recall. And what better time to get your first trip to the big leagues than when you are raging hot? Pat Kelly was leading the minor leagues in batting average and on base percentage when he was called up. He's been through 5 different organizations. This was the 5th year that he's played in AAA. So he has been a career minor leaguer, finally getting a chance. Takes a strike. And two things that work in Kelly's favor. One, he's a switch hitter, and the other, he's played every position in the minor leagues other than catcher. He's even pitched an inning. So his versatility plays well. 1-2 from Strasburg, and he manages to foul it off.
Well, you could see a big smile on Terry Collins' face, because Terry was talking about his day. There were no minor league free agents, so you had to stay with your team. Never got a shot. He goes, "You're going to get a shot every once in a while." And said he was rooting for even his own player.
Living a little vicariously through Ty Kelly. And he takes it high. 2-2. And Kelly's got a reputation as a guy who will be very patient, draw a lot of walks. One of the things that drew the Mets' attention. They like that kind of player. It's one of the reasons they signed him in the offseason. On the inside corner, Strasburg gets him looking. And so Kelly's first at bat in the big leagues is a call third strike.
Well, so far, Vic Carapazza is calling that pitch in or a little in off the plate. But, you know, when it's 96 miles an hour, not the same kind of pitcher you see down in Las Vegas.
So 8 up and 8 down for Strasburg with 5 strikeouts. He's picking up where he left off last Thursday at Citi Field. Now Matt Harvey bats for the first time and takes a fastball strike. That is 2 for 11 this season.
Are any of the Mets pitchers going to swing on this 3-game trip?
Well, I'm assuming Matt's back is not stiffening up on him, so I think swings are in order. There you go.
There you go.
Turned out Bartolo last night had a little stiffness in his back, so decided it was not a night for swinging. It was a night for pitching 7 innings, which he did brilliantly, and then came out of the game after only 90 pitches because Terry decided that was enough with the back issues he's had. Something the Mets are not concerned about at all over the long term. And happy birthday, Bart. 43 today.
Wow.
Not too many baseball players in uniform get to celebrate number 43.
Well, he can start the new streak. He won all those games between 40 and 42. Now he can start to streak the most wins after 43.
I wonder who has that. Would that be Phil Niekro?
I think so. You and I were thinking about Phil Niekro. Nolan Ryan pitched a couple of no-hitters after he was 43, right?
So he was 46, 47. Yeah. And Harvey goes down on strikes on the foul tip, and that retires the side. 3 perfect innings for Strasburg with 6 strikeouts. No score in D.C. Well, last September here in D.C., the Mets put the National League East on ice with a 3-game sweep. Came from behind in all 3 games. Yoenis Cespedes showing off. Kurt Neuenhuis had a huge home run in that series. And the Mets left Washington after that 3-game series in September, 7 games ahead, and that's how the division finished. Steven Strasburg leads off in the home third and takes a strike.
Going to need a little more W's this year, I think, to win the division. 90's not going to get it.
Well, let's see. The Nats lead the division right now.
They're on a pace for what?
27 and 15, so they're on a pace for 97. That's probably about right.
Yep. Saw that last year with the Central Division, right? You had 100 by the Cardinals, 97, I believe, by the Pirates, and 96 by the Cubs.
Well, what we thought going into the season is that there would be a couple of teams in the National League East that you'd be able to beat routinely, the Braves and the Phillies, except the Phillies haven't read that script yet.
They have not.
Two to Strasburg, and he pokes one through the right side, and Strasburg's got a base hit. His 5th hit of the season, and the 2nd hit given up tonight by Matt Harvey. So in his show-me start, Matt has now gone once through the order. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think his velocity is up. We've seen 95 and 96 from Matt. That's a good thing. We've seen some good defensive plays. Matt started a double play. Walker saved him in the 2nd inning. The sharpness of his breaking pitch is still not there for me yet. And we know because of the numbers that really it's not the first couple of innings or the first time through the lineup. It's the 2nd and 3rd time through the lineup that has given him troubles.
Here's Ben Revere. Kelly creeps in at 3rd, and Revere takes up and away for ball 1. I think the other intriguing thing is that several times in the first couple of innings against left-hand hitters, Harvey looks like he's invented something of a new pitch.
Yeah, the little cutter slider. I don't know if he's overthrowing the slider or that's something he has worked on because the slider hasn't been breaking. The one thing I do see, Gary, and I mentioned the wrapping or cupping of the ball, that when you get to the top of your windup, you want to be athletic on your way to the hitter. Matt looks very mechanical to me, and that's probably from spending so much time trying to refine his mechanics.
Revere swinging 2-0, pops one up into shallow left, and Conforto comes on to get it. 1 away. Well, it certainly makes sense, right?
You know, I talked about the wrapping of the baseball behind it, but even more importantly, just when he finishes his pitches, instead of like kind of bouncing back and getting that ball, he kind of lingers there. Like, am I in the right position following through?
Well, it certainly makes sense with all the conversation that he has had and that his pitching coach and his manager have had about his arm slot and trying to feel more comfortable on the mound. You can imagine that he's not going to be as smooth as he might be if he were in a good groove right now. There's a good slider to start off Worth, nothing at all.
That's his best one of the game right there. That one fell off the table. Talked about Cabrera missing it by a foot. So did Worth there.
Worth at a comebacker into a double play his first time up. Eric Campbell playing behind Strasburg, running at first. Bryce Harper waiting on deck. Well, Matt has had his highs and his lows. Certainly that game in San Diego was not a vintage Matt Harvey start, but a very encouraging one based on the way this year has gone. But the last 2 in Colorado and then the last one against Washington, much less encouraging. Worth pops one up in foul ground. Campbell might have a play. Has room and puts it away. 2 out.
Well, good location on the last two pitches to Revere and Worth. Both fastballs down that Worth and Revere chased, and two pop-ups.
So 2 out. Strasburg still at first, and here's Harper, who grounded out on a changeup his first time up. Harper was out for some early BP today, launching missile after missile into the right field seats.
Yeah.
Which certainly begged an interesting contrast with what Yoenis Cespedes was saying last night about how lately he has not taken any outdoor batting practice because he feels he gets too home run happy that way.
Yeah, I haven't seen him on the field in quite some time, which is interesting.
Harper pops one up into center field, and Cespedes waiting for it to come down. That retires the side. So Harvey continues to have Harper's number, works around the leadoff hit by Strasburg. After 3 in D.C., no score. Well, with the weather warming up today, not surprising to see folks out playing softball in the shadow of the White House. Don't hit it too hard. You might get arrested. You know, when you're that close.
That's right.
You gotta watch out.
Something bad could happen.
You don't want to have it go over the fence. That could be a big problem. Tomorrow, join the discussion as New York's best sports writers bring you a full recap of this Mets National Series, plus the latest updates as the competition continues at Jets and Giants OTAs on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY.
Segment 1 will be on Harvey. Just wanted to let you know.
I'm just happy that the Jets and Giants reporters can report from the OTAs. You see the Buffalo Bills now say you can go, but you can't say what's happening. Rex.
I watched that team. You don't have to worry about telling anybody what's going on.
Curtis Granderson leads off in the 4th inning in a scoreless game. Mets looking for their first base runner against Strasburg. And that's on the corner. A good curveball by Strasburg, 0-2. Curtis flying to center his first time up. 6 strikeouts for Strasburg. First time through the order. 2 in each of the first 3 innings. Of course, the Nats staff has already had a 20 strikeout performance this year by Max Scherzer against the Tigers. That's Dribble Cabrera on deck, and then Michael Conforto in the 4th. And Curtis hits one up the middle, but that's where Espinosa's playing. And the stretch by Zimmerman, and they get Curtis for the first out.
Well, nice hitting by Curtis straight up the middle, but Espinosa's there on the backhand, and the throw drifts a little bit into the runner, and Zimmerman able to stay on the bag.
Now, was Strasburg trying to backheel that ball on the way by?
He would hacky sack it. Yeah, he was trying to do it.
Now, if you're the pitcher, that's a natural thing to do, right? But now that you've got the shift, it's the worst thing in the world to try to do.
Well, I'm thinking about Tommy Glavine his days as a Met. He would always let that ball up the middle go when he knew where the defense was. He'd be doing it more now than ever.
This dribble Cabrera turns out of the way, ball one. But right, I mean, you're taught from the time you're a little kid, if you can make contact with it, you try and knock it down. But now you got that shortstop standing right behind second base.
Yeah, it's ill-advised now.
Changeup misses from Strasburg, 2-0.
Certain pitchers, when they get off to a quick start, you say in your own mind, he's got that kind of stuff tonight, and Strasburg has that kind of stuff.
You mean like Kershaw does every night?
Yes.
We were watching the end of Kershaw's game last night against the Reds. It's just phenomenal to watch the kind of command of the game that he has.
I was saying it last night, you know, in tiny snippets. You know, I'd go through stretches where you felt like Kershaw feels this entire month, locked in, executing the pitch. As soon as it's gone, he's on to the next pitch, in the moment, as well as a pitcher I've seen in some time.
That's drilled toward the right field corner off the bat of Cabrera near the wall. It's out of here! Asdrubal Cabrera with the Mets' first hit, a line drive home run, his third of the year, and the Mets break the ice and take a 1-0 lead. Asdrubal Cabrera, as hot as can be. He's been driving in runs, and now he clears the wall to give the Mets the early lead.
Well, Gary, you also mentioned he's been great with runners in scoring position. None here, but one of the few hitters that Strasburg has got behind, try to come in with a fastball 2-1. That's really opposite of what you usually taught to go away when you're behind the hitter. But Cabrera jumped all over that pitch.
Well, Asdrubal Cabrera is a guy who at one time in his career hit 25 home runs in a season. It's still there. He's not going to hit 25 this year, but he's still got power, and you got to be careful inside to him, and Strasburg just found that out.
I always take veteran players that have been around. You got to be very careful inside when they're heading the count, because that's where they're looking. They're looking to do some serious damage. It's almost like they're starting the bat early. Remember that breaking ball he swung over the top? He was guessing fastball there. This time he got it.
0-2 to Conforto, who struck out his first time up. And he foul tips it. It's held by Ramos for strike 3. That's 7 strikeouts for Strasburg.
Nasty break. The thing about Strasburg's breaking ball is that you can recognize it early that it's breaking, but it continues with that great rotation to break down in the strike zone.
Mike Maddox, first year with the Nationals, as highly regarded a pitching coach as there is in the game.
He's got the great ability to teach the mechanics of pitching, but also the subtleties of the mental game, mental side of it.
There's Cespedes, who lined out to right his first time. Well, the Nationals have the highest strikeout staff in the National League, led by Strasburg and Scherzer. The Mets have issued the fewest walks and given up the fewest home runs of any staff in the league. That's a yanked foul. I want to get out of the way of that rather than trying to catch that.
The bat speed is almost without precedent. You mentioned Gary Sheffield. There's a few others. I mean, look out in front he was on that fastball. That's fastball down and in.
He drills that one over the glove of Espinosa and into left field. And so Cespedes just keeps hitting line drives, and he has the Mets' second hit of the night.
Well, he doubled up inside, but this one is up. And Cespedes is on time with Strasburg so far. Line drive to right field, and you see that belt buckle just facing right at the pitcher, getting full kind of torque of his body That's why he produces so much power.
So Cespedes aboard with 2 out, and here's Walker, who struck out his first time. It's been a while since Strasburg lost a game. It was against the Mets here last year. Didn't pitch badly that day, but let a lead get away. And since then, the Nats have won his last 13 starts. He's 10-0 over that stretch. 7-0 to begin this year. First pitcher from this franchise to do that since Pedro Martinez was an Expo. Curveball in for a strike to Walker, 0-2.
Mets are trying to bookend that streak. Walker did not like that curveball. He thought it was up in the strike zone. Called the same pitch on Curtis Granderson, and he has a beef. That ball's up.
It came down at a little over belt level, but that was after it had crossed the plate.
What happens, the hitters will tell the umpire, he doesn't need any help. This guy's got great stuff. You don't need to give him any pitches.
Vic Carapaz, the home plate umpire, Long Island native, showing no bias.
So that was done on purpose, you're saying, just to make sure?
Just saying. He's making a mistake. He's making it on both sides.
Twirling of the baseball is unique to Strasburg and a few others.
Rolls over the changeup and fouls it off.
You know, every pitcher has this little peccadillos that they like to do before they release the pitch. I would never teach the rolling of the baseball on your fingers. You know why? Bases loaded. You have a big pitch to make. You're twirling it, and somehow you lose control of it. It's a balk.
Yeah. Drop the ball while standing on the rubber.
All it has to do is happen once. Never do it again.
Seen it happen.
But I guess if you have as many pitches as Strasburg, you got to fumble around until you figure out which one you want to go with.
Well, but you're not going to grab the grip there anyway. You're going to wait till you put it in the glove. Cespedes at first and 2 out. And Walker lays off the backdoor curveball. 1-2. Fourth inning brought to you by the 2017 Audi A4 and your tri-state Audi dealers. Mets have grabbed a 1-0 lead here in the fourth on Asdrubal Cabrera's home run off Steven Strasburg. That's got just 1 run in 6 innings against Strasburg last week in New York. So far, Matt Harvey has been up to the test. And Walker strikes out on the changeup. 8 strikeouts through the first 4 innings for Strasburg, who didn't know there were 3 out. Keep track.
I'm here to pitch. I'm not here to keep count.
1, 2, 3. Murphy leads off for the Nats against Matt Harvey, who's been staked to a 1-0 lead on Asdrubal Cabrera's home run. Murphy struck out on a high fastball his first time up, the only strikeout through 3 innings for Harvey. And he starts him off with a curveball for a strike.
See Murphy arguing about that pitch now too. Walker argued, now Murphy arguing, but Murphy always argues.
If it's a strike for one second baseman, it's a strike for the other. Pitching almost exactly the same spot.
It's letting the hitters know that he's going to call that high curveball.
Here's my opinion. The more strikes umpires call, the better game it is.
Well, you got to better be ready because they're going to shrink the strike zone next year. So you got to be ready, Gary.
Supposedly they're going to raise the bottom of the strike zone. But you know what I'm saying? That's hit to right field, and over comes Granderson. Had him played perfectly for the first out. Well, we've been following the progress of Steven Matz's preparation for his start. That start is tomorrow, so the final installment from Steve Gelb. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, it was a pretty happy day for Steven Matz. Final day he had to talk to me for quite a while as I stalked his every move this week. But when it comes to Matz, today is really just a very light day as he preps for tomorrow's start. Came in around 2:15, did some rollout with the foam roller, then did some light stretching. Then he proceeded to get in the cage and do some hitting work. Took a couple of swings, worked on his bunting a little bit, and then remember yesterday he did not throw his bullpen, so today he just wanted to feel the slope of the mound. Threw about 11 pitches in the bullpen, a couple of curves, a couple of changeups because those are real field pitches, and that's pretty much it in terms of his pregame routine. Ran some sprints for cardio, but again that's pretty much all he does. The other thing that Steven Matz though does in game, both yesterday and today, is he really tries to pay attention to the opponent, not so much sitting in the dugout all the time, but he'll actually go back into the video room, sit with Kevin Long and/or Pat Russler, just trying to watch some video of these guys' swings tonight, get a feel for what he wants to do tomorrow. Hasn't faced the Nationals yet this season.
Let me ask you this, Steve. I don't know if you addressed this with Steven. I asked Ronnie this too. Is his preparation the day before a start any different because he's pitching a day game tomorrow as opposed to a night game?
No, he said the only difference today was that he didn't throw the bullpen yesterday, so he got some bullpen work. But outside of that, he says there's no real difference. He just obviously comes to the park at a different time tomorrow. But, you know, nothing changed the day before.
Yeah, I certainly changed if it was a day game or a night game. The preparation, I would throw less on the side on the second day. You know, if it was 60 pitches, 55 pitches, I'd throw maybe 40 pitches. And the day before I pitched, whether it was a night game or a day game, consisted really of.
Zimmerman hits it deep to left. Back goes Conforto. He takes a look, and it's out of here. Ryan Zimmerman ties the game with his 6th home run of the year. So Harvey staked to the lead on Cabrera's home run, and Zimmerman gets the Nats even. It's 1-1.
Well, hanging slider from Matt. Oh, I'll take it back. That was a changeup that was supposed to be down and in. A pitch that I've said many times is a very, very dangerous pitch. If it's bottoms out and the catcher catches it on the ground or in the dirt, it's a good pitch. Anytime it's for a strike, the hitter will turn on it.
So Zimmerman having a terrific series.
See, the thing about hitters is that if you throw something soft in there, they don't really even have to get it. They just get it on the good part of the bat, and it'll go forever. We saw that with Cespedes a few days ago.
1-1 to Rendon. Well, Zimmerman drove in the only Nats run last night. He drives in their first run tonight. He's now 4 for 6 in the series. So Zimmerman, who was struggling so mightily, appears to have found himself in these 2 games. Well, we've said this many times this season. First 3 have not been as big a concern for Matt, just counting the last start. It's the middle 3 that have really been the more troubling innings. And Rendon follows with a deep fly ball to left. That wall is out of here. Back-to-back home runs for Zimmerman and Rendon, and the Nats take a 2-1 lead.
Well, the ERA we showed by innings is coming true again. And 2 right-handed hitters consecutive same pitches hit out of the ballpark. Change-ups that they are calling the throw inside. Once Zimmerman, and here Rendon.
Third home run of the year for Rendon. And just like that, the Nats have a 2-1 lead. And now Harvey bounces the changeup past Ramos. Ball 1.
It was almost like against Rendon. He wanted to mulligan and say, you know what, that is a good pitch, and went right back to it, and the same result.
Fourth time this year the Nats have hit back-to-back home runs. So each team has now had a back-to-back set of home runs in the series.
You know how we say all the time against left-handed hitters, try to stay away from down and in. Try to stay away from change-ups to right-handed hitters if you're a right-handed pitcher.
Ramos robbed of a hit by Walker his first time up. You hear that? The Nationals fans, there's a whole bunch of Mets fans here who've been supporting Harvey and chanting his name. And after that last home run, the Nats fans started a mocking Harvey chant.
Reminded me of the Darryl chant in Fenway Park.
Exactly. 3-0 pitch, swung and grounded. Ty Kelly gets his first chance and throws out Ramos for the second out.
Pitch location on the changeup. Right there at the belt. And he hits it out of here. And then Rendon, same place. Maybe a little lower. The changeup against a left-handed hitter, if you're a right-handed pitcher, works away from the middle of their bat. The changeup to a right-handed hitter stays right at the middle of their bat.
There was a time when pitchers just wouldn't throw changeups to same side hitters.
Never ever taught to throw that. It was a pitch. It was a pitch you stayed away from, always against right-handed hitters. But now it's a pitch we've seen many pitchers use, not only Matt.
Espinosa flied out his first time up. And Harvey falls behind him 2-0 with the pitcher on deck. And that's cracked into right field, a base hit for Espinosa. Granderson cuts it off deep and holds him to a single. Third hit of the inning for the Nationals.
The one thing we saw in the game against the Nationals prior, Gary, was once the lid was open against Matt, the line drives came pouring through. And now we've had 2 balls hit for a home run, and Espinosa, 200 hitter, right on top of that 2-0 fastball.
And I know sometimes it feels as though we make a little much of this, but there have been times this season, and it was certainly the case last week, where the shoulders began to sag, and the body language was a dead giveaway that Matt felt defeated.
Yeah, well, he can only answer that, but I know what you're saying. Body language is so important, and whenever we've watched Matt in the past, you know, he stood taller than most. And when you get into these situations in your career, and I certainly had them myself, this is bloody, it's gutsy, it's in the mud, kind of raking your way through to try to find that light at the end of the tunnel. It's not for shoulders to sag, because that way you have no chance.
Here's Strasburg, who had a base hit to right field his first time up. And he takes a fastball strike.
Here's the motion again. We saw it earlier in the game. We're trying to show you what it looks like right now. Strong position, but I just still think he doesn't look as athletic. That ball stays fair. Strasburg out at first base, as he has in the past. More mechanical.
Back-to-back home runs by Zimmerman and Rendon give the Nats the lead, 2-1 after 4. including injury reports, roster updates, and daily features, as well as instant post-game coverage and reaction on Mets blog presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. Steven Strasburg now with a 2-1 lead as we go to the fifth, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, with Lucas due to out an indefinite amount of time, people have been talking about the possibility of maybe Dominic Smith making a Michael Conforto-esque jump from Double-A to the majors this year. And just to put that to rest right now, that's not going to happen. Very different people in terms of one of them being a high school draft pick. Dom Smith is only 20 years old. But the Mets do like his progression at this point, having a really nice first season in the Eastern League in Double-A with Binghamton. Got off to a bit of a rough start, but over the last 31 games, hitting .317. And I spoke with the manager of the Binghamton Mets, Pedro Lopez, earlier today, and he said the thing that's been so impressive about Dom Smith is that the Mets moved him up to the cleanup spot this year because they feel like he's going to be a middle of the order bat, and he has not gotten out of his approach. He hasn't tried to start hitting home runs like so many guys do once they get put in that spot. He's taking what pitchers give him, and he said a lot of teams in the Eastern League are shifting him like a true pull hitter. He's a lefty, but he's taking what they give him, and he's hit plenty of doubles down the third base line the opposite way.
Well, I think the expectation when the Mets drafted Dominic Smith is that eventually he would evolve into a guy who would hit home runs. Yeah. That has not really happened yet at this point in his development. Gamble flies one out to right, and Harper's there to grab it one away.
Well, you know what's interesting? One of the names that has come up on the radar since Lucas Duda got hurt was James Loney.
Right.
And James Loney, when he first came up with the Dodgers with Andre Ethier and Matt Kemp, he was considered a guy that was going to turn into a defensive wizard who ended up hitting home runs and driving in runs. And that has happened in stops and starts for him, but not throughout his whole career.
Yeah, he's been the line drive hitter with the great glove, but never the home run bat that they thought he might be. And you know, the Mets are hoping for different from Dominic Smith, and sometimes it takes a while for that to come. There's Kevin Plawecki. I mean, I remember, you know, a third baseman in the Red Sox organization named Jeff Bagwell, who I think had 4 home runs in Double-A, and then the Astros got him in the trade, and you know, he hit over 400 in the big leagues, so 400 home runs. So sometimes power is the last tool to arrive for those big, strong players.
Well, his defense is impeccable. I watched him play some defense in a couple of minor league games this year. Dominic Smith, great feet, great hands. But he's more of a guy that so far is Mets kind of player. You know, he takes a lot of pitches. He knows the strike zone. And when Steve said, you know, he's only 20, he's not going to be rushed up here. There's a lot of guys in the major leagues now that 20 years old is when they get their start.
Plawecki gets hit by that foul ball. I think though, I think because of the timing, it's only natural that people would ask about Dom Smith, but it's clear that he's not ready, and it would be completely unfair to him to put him in this situation. Plawecki grounded out to third base his first time up. Strasburg jams him. Ramos flips the mask away and snags the pop-up. 2 out. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked who were the 5 Met pitchers who threw multiple innings in an All-Star game.
Well, Seaver had to do it.
Doc.
Matt Harvey, of course. Didn't know Tug did it. And John Matlack would be better. But that's all right. Matlack's a good show, though. That was a great show.
Just wasn't the Rookie of the Year for the Mets. Tug McGraw's the surprising one that he would have thrown multiple innings in an All-Star game. But, you know, that was back in the days when the All-Star game was handled very differently. Ty Kelly up for the second time, and he grounds one foul.
I mean, it was not routine, but there are many starts where a starter would go 4 and 5 innings in an All-Star game.
Or at least 3.
Yep.
And now nobody goes more than 2. Kelly struck out looking in his first big league at bat against Strasburg, who has fanned 8 today. And now 9 as he gets Kelly on the changeup. 9 strikeouts through 5 innings. Strasburg gets the side 1-2-3 after being handed the lead. Halfway through in D.C., 2-1 Washington. By Ford, solo home runs, 1 for Asdrubal Cabrera, 2 for the Nationals by Zimmerman and Rendon. And so Strasburg has the upper hand over Harvey. And now the dangerous third time through the batting order for Matt Harvey as Ben Revere leads off in the home fifth. Revere has walked and flied out. Harvey's numbers third time through the batting order and beyond are startling. I mean, startling.
Yes, they are. They're more like a journeyman's pitcher's numbers, not the dominant pitcher that we feel Matt can be.
First time through the batting order, they hit .247 against him. That's drilled to center field, chasing Cespedes back. It's over his head and one hop against the wall. And on cue, Ben Revere, third time around the batting order, hits a 400-foot double.
Well, no chance for Cespedes to catch this ball. Hit right on the nose. I don't think Revere can hit a ball any better than he did this one. Cespedes was playing shallow because Revere's that kind of hitter. No chance to get it, but holds him to a double. And watch the side swing. Kind of a double clutch there and drops the hammer on it. Not much of a follow through from Revere, but got it right in the sweet spot.
So we didn't even get the numbers out. First pass through the batting order against Harvey, they hit .247. Second time through, .284. Third time and beyond, .510. .510.
I don't think I've ever heard of that number or seen it.
And it's worse now because Revere led off the inning with a double. Now Jason Worth, and he takes a strike. Now, you know, you hate to be alarmist, but if you look at that and you're Terry Collins and you're in an important game tonight, beyond Matt Harvey's need to get back on track, would you be tempted to have somebody ready?
Well, that's an interesting question, Gary, because you're fighting, if you're Terry Collins, two things here. The numbers you just said, but also you're trying to instill confidence in your pitcher. So that's the battle that you're going through. If you get a guy up in the bullpen, well, Matt's certainly going to see that, and that's certainly not a way to instill confidence. But you know, you should manage with your head and not your heart.
Now, if it were September rather than May,
someone would be up.
Yeah. Worth is 0 for 2. And a comebacker into a double play and fouled out. And he grounds one toward the hole. Cabrera can't get it. Base hit. Revere will go to third and stop there. And the Nats have runners at the corners and nobody out, and Bryce Harper coming up.
Well, a ground ball shaded a little up the middle was Cabrera. Could not get it. That ball hit on the nose, even though it was on the ground. And playing a little shallower with Revere on second base.
Well, it's a moment of truth for Matt Harvey. This incendiary third time through the batting order. He's now given up a double and a single, and now he's got to face the reigning MVP, who has been held in check so far in this series, 0 for 6, including a ground down to fly out tonight, and now action will begin in the Mets bullpen with Hansel Robles starting to throw. It's only down by a run here in the 5th. Harvey starts him with a sinker that misses.
You know, Gary, I don't know if this is a fact, but it seems like a fact to me. It's going to be hard to make your run or the run that you want to make unless you get Harvey straightened out at some point.
You would think that, right?
I don't know if that's a fact.
I mean, the Mets have a stacked rotation if everybody's hitting on all cylinders. But that presumes that Matt is one of those cylinders. Of course, they'll get Zach Wheeler back at some point. They hope around the 1st of July, and that will certainly fortify their rotation. But this guy needs to figure out a way to kick it in gear, and he's in a do or die spot right at this minute against Bryce Harper. Harper hits it in the air to center. Playable for Cespedes. It'll get a run in. Tagging at third is Revere. He comes in to score, and Harper delivers a sacrifice fly to make it 3-1 Washington.
Well, went to that spot, fastball away, but it's up, and a good swing by Harper, who just got underneath it.
Well, it's not the worst possible result for Matt if he can get through this inning without further damage. But he's got to get through Murphy now. Daniel was struck out and lined out to right tonight, 0 for 2. Worth at first and 1 out. And Murph takes a fastball for a strike. I mean, it is beyond stark to look at those. And the Nats, this third time through, are now 2 for 2. And what I would ask you, Ronnie, is when you look at that, and you see with a number of pitchers that their numbers will get worse the third time through the order. Is that more a matter of familiarity, that hitters have seen everything they have, or is there a fatigue or physical factor that might be involved?
There shouldn't be a fatigue factor. If you're a starting pitcher the third time through the lineup, there should not be any fatigue. If there is, you're not doing your work in between starts, so it shouldn't be fatigue. Yes, they see you more often. It's also probably the last time they're going to see you. Very few pitchers now make it 4 times through the lineup. That's how the game has devolved.
Worth runs. Murphy hits it deep to right field. Granderson takes a look, and that is long gone. Daniel Murphy, for the second time in a week, is homered off Matt Harvey. A 2-run shot. The third home run Matt's allowed in the last 2 innings, and it's 5-1 Washington. 7th home run of the year for Daniel Murphy.
Well, there was a lot of talk when Murph signed with the Nationals that now he would have to face the Mets pitchers. He says, "Thank you very much. I'm doing fine." Fastball away, and Murph jumped all over it. Even posed. He knew it was way out of here.
Well, he hit a hanging curve against Harvey at Citi Field. He gets a fastball here and crushes it into the second deck. Murph hit 14 home runs last year. He's halfway there this year. That's his 7th. And it's come crashing down on Matt Harvey one more time.
I don't know if I've ever seen Murphy hit a farther home run. That's where the big boys live, up there.
And now Zimmerman, who began the home run barrage in the last inning, pops one up into shallow right. And Granderson grabs it for the second out. Well, Matt has struck out only one batter tonight.
Only
first 4 2/3.
Only 2 swing and misses to Murphy the first time up. I mean, this is the alarming thing to me, is that everyone goes through a slump, but the slump he's going through, we're talking about a pitcher that's supposed to dominate lineups, not to just get lineups out. Not a guy who's supposed to get, 7 innings, 8 hits, a couple of strikeouts. This is supposed to be a guy that is to rain down on lineups, not to just get through them. And they've turned the tide on him.
Past the glove of Harvey, deflects it, barehanded by Cabrera. Brilliant play, and he got him. As dribble Cabrera with a gem. Harvey changed the direction of it, and Cabrera makes an outstanding play to throw out Rendon and get the inning over with. Murphy's 2-run homer extends the Nats' lead. It's 5-1 Washington after 5. Matt Reynolds lines out to center field, batting for Matt Harvey as we start the 6th inning. It's the best Reynolds has hit the ball since coming up, but he's still looking for that elusive first big league hit. So Harvey is done after 5 innings. Matt allowed 5 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 3 home runs. His ERA goes up to an unsightly 6.08. And the next question will be, what happens next? Alonso Robles up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch the bottom of the inning. I mean, Harvey wanted to take the start today, did the simulated game over the weekend, said very poignantly in his interview with Adam Rubin yesterday, I'm not a quitter. which nobody ever accused him of being.
Right.
The question is, from the standpoint of Matt Harvey's long-term ability to be a successful pitcher in the major leagues and the Mets' ability to maintain themselves as a contending team, what is best for this franchise the next time Harvey is scheduled to take the ball?
You know, I said this after the last start. There's really only two options you have, Gary, and the options is the one option is that you have to continue to pitch. That's the most important thing. But really the two options that you have is you do it at this level where you're going to get punished and pummeled as he is right now, or you go someplace a little quieter where you can have a backfield where there's not 30-40 reporters and you can kind of figure it out in the minor leagues. We've seen great pitchers have to go down and learn their craft again or get away from the spotlight. It'll be interesting to see what the Mets do, because it's just, you know, when you're trying to make a run, I think what's difficult as Granderson walks is when you have Matt, who's such a big star and gets so much attention over this bad run, kind of can permeate the team.
Yeah, it sucks the air out of the room.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And you know, there are in the course of a season, there are the micro issues,
yes,
and the macro issues, but you don't want the micro issues to become a macro issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's the first walk given up by Strasburg, and the Mets have a one-out base runner for Cabrera, who homered to give the Mets a brief 1-0 lead in the fourth.
What happens, Gary, to illustrate your point, the micro issues becoming the macro issues for you folks at home, is the manager, the pitching coach, the players are asked about Matt. Now, what do you think his troubles are? And after a while, the manager and the pitching coach and the players don't want to talk about it anymore. They just want to concentrate on their game.
Which is quite apart from the fact that now every fifth day it's not giving you a very good chance to win.
That's right.
And this is a team that's not, you know, building towards some kind of future. They're built to win right now.
And I think you also have to, you know, this is not thinking like, boy, he has not pitched well, so let's make sure we punish him. This is what you do to make sure you take care of a young man. So he, you know, this could have some long-lasting effects to go a long period of time and get your brains knocked in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the Mets are going to do.
Yeah.
And I think right at this particular moment, they probably have no idea what they're going to do. If Matt Harvey were to be sent to the minor leagues, he would be as big a name pitcher as I can ever remember being sent down to try and fix himself. However, the Mets had, it's a few years ago now, but Bobby Jones did it. Steve Traxel did it.
Yeah.
They both came back better than ever after a brief stint in the minor leagues. Just figured a couple of things out, maybe mechanically, maybe just clearing their heads. And others have done it as well. It's not the end of the world. It's just something they might have to do.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. We hear about hitters having to do it all the time. It doesn't happen with the top echelon pitchers as often.
Cabrera goes down on the fastball. That's 10 strikeouts for Strasburg. Fifth time this year he struck out 10 or more.
Just fastball away, and it's a two-seamer running away with that good movement against Cabrera. It was almost like Cabrera hit that home run his last at bat on fastball. Strasburg said, I'm going to strike you out this time on a fastball, and he did.
So Strasburg struck out 10 in 6 innings against the Mets last week. He has 10 over 5 2/3 tonight. 26th time in his career he struck out 10 or more. Here's Conforto, responsible for 2 of those strikeouts.
Boy, it's almost uncanny too that Harvey's troubles are coming up against the Nationals in Strasburg, isn't it? Here's a young man on top of his game right now, Steven Strasburg, and Matt has lost his way.
Conforto lifts one out to left center. Revere back onto the warning track and has room to make the catch to retire the side. A walk and one left. Middle of the 6th in D.C. 5-1 Washington. Well, the most famous seated man in America.
Yes.
Hello, Abraham. My favorite scene in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, when he goes, he's troubled, and he visits the Lincoln Memorial, and he's reading the words on the wall for inspiration.
That's right.
Hansel Robles will work the bottom of the 6th inning.
Robles' numbers have been outstanding. He's been great in mixing up not only his slider, but he's featured a couple changeups against left-handed hitters.
Wilson Ramos, first man to face him. Ramos has been up twice, grounded out both times. And he fouls off the Robles slider, 0-1. Espinosa and Strasburg to follow. Strasburg went 6 against the Mets last week. He's only thrown 85 pitches, so a good chance to go 7 in this game tonight. Slow ground ball. Kelly on the charge. And he throws out Ramos. 1 away. Ty Kelly's played more games at third than he has at any other position in the minor league.
25 games at third base, right? Or in the minor leagues his entire career.
In his career, yeah. I think it's 330 games at third. This year, lately, he's been playing more outfield. But he has made himself versatile. In fact, he even started a game at shortstop this year for the first time in his minor league career.
I mean, 800 plus games in the minor leagues.
I think he was ready for the promotion.
Yeah, right. Well, you love to see those stories. You know, a guy just keep plugging away, and what, 4th organization is the Mets, and finally gets his chance.
Here's Espinosa, who had a base hit his last time up and lost the bunt. Takes ball 1. And Strasburg's going to take another turn at bat. Of course, the game last week, he took the turn at bat, then he came out of the game.
That's right.
So you're never quite certain. But there's nobody up in the Washington bullpen, so it looks like Strasburg is continuing on. 1-1 to Espinosa. Well, the Steven Strasburg we've seen these last 2 outings has been the one that everybody was expecting from day 1 of his career. Remember day 1 when he struck out 14 Pirates in his debut.
I mean, it seems like everyone stopped that day to watch the young phenom pitch, and he did not disappoint. But now he's a complete pitcher. You can see it, the way he moves around the mound, how he decides what pitches to throw, when to throw the ball out of the strike zone, when to get ahead.
Well, in many ways, when you look at the number of teams that are angling for high draft picks now, to put it, you know, in a judicious way.
Yes.
You know, and people cite the Cubs and the Astros as the role models for those teams, the way they've been able to rebuild through the draft. As Espinosa strikes out, but really it was the Nationals who had the great fortune of having back-to-back first picks in the draft when there were these 2 once-in-a-generation players available, first Strasburg and then Harper.
Well, think back, you know, it was celebrating the Mets on Saturday. Think about the fortune of the Mets in the 80s. In the 1980 draft, they were able to get Darryl Strawberry, who was a once-in-a-lifetime type of player.
Number 1 overall pick.
And then in 1982, they were able to draft because 4 teams passed on Dwight Gooden. I mean, that's luck.
Right center field. Cespedes over in the gap, diving, and he made the catch. Terrific play by Cespedes. Laying out, rolling over, and hanging on. And keeping it in the webbing. Spectacular play. Strasburg bidding for his 2nd hit of the night. Cespedes rescues Robles. Chevy. Justin Verlander shutting out the Phillies through 6 innings. 1-0 Detroit. The Cubs got 6 in the first off Michael Wacha, and they are trying to snap out of the doldrums. They're up 8-0. Ryan Braun, home run.
What do they say if you make a good defensive play? Something like that?
Well, 1/9 of the time you lead off the next inning. And that was just a spectacular play by Cespedes. He had so much ground to cover, full extension, and able to keep that ball in the webbing without it falling out. That was hard too as he rolled over. He's hit the ball hard twice tonight, lined out to right, singled hard to left. And he yanks that one foul. By the way, also tonight, not pictured on or around the majors, Chris Sale going for his 10th win without a loss, but he just gave up 2 runs in the 3rd inning against the Indians and trails 2-1. Now, the White Sox are coming to Citi Field. The Mets have a day off Thursday, but the White Sox don't, so the Mets are going to miss Sale. He's now scheduled to pitch Sunday, which is probably good for the Met hitters, not so good if you're a baseball fan. That's hooked down the left field line, and Cespedes has himself another hit. Worth cuts it off deep. Cespedes heads to second, and he slides in with a double. First time we have seen him make a feet-first slide in a long time, and he did it apparently without incident. His 8th double of the year.
Well, do not go and get any snacks when number 52 is up at the plate. He is in a hot streak right now, not missing anything. Great speed gets him that double.
I mean, everything he's hitting right now is right on the button.
Strasburg, he hit that fastball in first at bat, lined out to right. That's a breaking ball that stayed inside that he pulled to left.
So the Mets have their 3rd hit of the night, and Cespedes has 2 of the 3. Here's Walker. Walker would have been in the lineup the night Strasburg struck out 14 in his debut.
Yes, he would.
And look up how he did. Neal struck out his first 2 times tonight. By the way, talking about Sale missing the Mets, it's probably a good thing that he's not pitching Monday, because you know who's facing the Mets Sunday? Kershaw.
Oh, Kershaw.
You
Sunday
could end up
Sale.
with Kershaw and Sale in back-to-back games, Sunday night, Monday afternoon. Probably better off not going that route. That's floated the other way. A base hit for Walker. Cespedes held up to make sure. He'll stop at 3rd, and the Mets all of a sudden have something working against Strasburg. 1st and 3rd and nobody out.
Well, this pitch caught too much of the plate, and Walker just fisted it out to left field. Didn't hit it hard enough, so it dropped in front of Worth. And it's the right play by Cespedes. He knew in his heart of hearts that ball was going to drop, but he had to make sure.
No action as yet in the Washington bullpen. Strasburg working with a 5-1 lead. And now Eric Campbell, who's taken to call 3rd strike and flied out. Mets were able to rally from behind 3 straight times here in D.C. last year in September, and they did it again last night. Do they have another Nationals Park rally in them tonight?
Yeah, 4 straight come from behind victories in their last 4. So there's Blake Trinan up. Pitched a couple innings last night, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Not throwing yet. By the way, Neil Walker was in the lineup against Strasburg in his debut. Went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Well, tonight he's 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So there's a little symmetry. Campbell takes up and away, a ball and a strike. Cespedes led off the inning with a double. Walker single. Grounded towards short. Espinosa gets the force. The relay not in time as a run comes home. And it's now a 5-2 game. So a fielder's choice grounder brings home Cespedes.
2 nights in a row, a RBI for Eric Campbell. Once he played it on the big second hop here, there was no chance for them to turn 2, even though Murph let the throw go.
So the Mets have a run home here in the 7th. And Dusty Baker is coming out. Is he concerned about an illegal slide at second? Is that what he wants reviewed?
Yes, he wants to see if the runner stayed on second base when he slid, was able to maintain the bag.
We're going to have to look at Walker's slide now and see whether it was a legal one, because Dusty Baker is challenging it.
Well, I didn't see anything bad about the slide from Walker. It looked like to me that Murphy stood behind the bag and used it as a shield, and that Walker, the late slide.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if they change that, that's just.
First of all, there was absolutely no chance for a double play because Campbell had beaten that play out by a significant margin. So this is one of those, letter of the law. He actually did go past the bag, but if they call this interference, the rule is absurd.
Yeah, there's a mockery. It's a mockery of the game. And the gamesmanship is that Dusty is taking advantage of these rules, letter of the law rules.
Well, whatever it is, they've decided it quickly. And what did they just call?
Just called that he is out at second base. That's confirmed the call. That's it. No double play.
Well, we already knew he was out at second base.
I knew it.
The question was whether he committed interference and the guy was out at first.
Let's go back to the headset.
I mean, can they at least give us a definitive ruling? And Dusty Baker is saying, are you saying he thinks that his challenge was upheld and that it was interference because there was a terribly uncommunicative signal given by the second base umpire John Hirschbeck. And now he's got to take more time to explain it to Dusty since he didn't really let anybody know exactly what his call was.
Really, all he had to do is call
point to
the
first
runner
base and say safe. Of course.
Yes. I'm honestly all for going back to the headset for a confirmation of the confirmation.
This is truly embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yes.
So now we know the call is confirmed. Maybe now we can get back to the game.
Not yet, but soon.
Here's Plawecki with Campbell at first and 1 out. A run is in. Plawecki is grounded out and fouled out 0 for 2. And he checks his swing. Well, thank goodness that the umpires in the bunker, and that's Jerry Davis's crew and Jeff Nelson's crew, took very little time to realize that there was no violation at second base by Walker.
Yeah, good job by those guys.
So the Nationals are out of challenges.
It was really an ill-conceived challenge by Dusty Baker, but I know what he's thinking.
In the first weeks of the season, there were a couple of plays like that they did rule interference, but I think there's been a bit of a directive to the umpires to clean that up and use a little more common sense about how they apply the rule.
And they did there.
Yeah, and that's good. That was the good part of it. The bad part was that John Hirschbeck didn't let anybody know in the ballpark exactly what was called. So Dusty needed clarification.
Well, we're working on the signs. That's next, Gary.
2-0 to Campbell. And that's on the corner. Strasburg gets a borderline call. 2-1 to Plawecki. Strasburg at 96 pitches. The left-hander Felipe Rivero is up in the bullpen.
You know, we don't talk about it much, but Plawecki's really getting a major league chance here to show that he can be a #1 catcher. Hasn't done much late.
Over the course of that last road trip to the West, he swung the bat very well, but since coming home, that's gone away. He's 0 for his last 16. Campbell at first and 1 out. A run home here in the 7th. The switch hitting Ty Kelly is on deck. And Strasburg doesn't get that borderline call. And now it's 3-2.
Well, he's been getting that call just off the corner from Vic Carapazzo, but this one he did not, and it's a ball.
Very similar to strike one.
Yeah.
It? So 3-2 to Plawecki with Campbell at first. Strasburg's already struck out 10 tonight.
Would not send him.
And he does not go, and it's inside ball 4, and that'll get the tying run to the plate. Only the second walk of the night for Strasburg, so will Dusty Baker make the move? You got a switch hitter Kelly, his first day in the big leagues coming up.
See Felipe Rivero warming up in the bullpen. Strasburg this inning seems to have gotten a little tired, fatigued.
Well, Mike Madison's going to make a trip, so Strasburg's going to get at least one more batter. Now, what we've been told is that Kelly is a much better left-hand hitter than right-hand hitter. So he'll get a chance to stay from the left side here rather than turn around, which would have been the case if Rivero was brought in. So far, Strasburg's had his number. He struck him out twice. But a chance for Kelly to do some damage here in his first big league game.
Well, last year Rivero had a lot of troubles against the Mets, but we saw him at Citi Field, and he is a different pitcher this year.
So with a run home, 2 on, 1 out. Campbell at second, Plawecki at first. Kelly the tying run at the plate in a 5-2 game. And Kelly watches a fastball for a strike.
Strasburg still throwing 95 on pitch 100.
Ball and a strike to Kelly. Kelly has a reputation as a guy who takes a lot of pitches, and sometimes you have trouble translating that at the big league level, especially against the elite pitchers.
Well, what happens at this level, Gary, is you can take as many pitches as you want, but if you get to 2 strikes, these are the elite pitchers. They know how to put you away with 2 strikes.
That's in the dirt. Ramos does a nice job blocking that with the chest protector. 2 balls and a strike to Kelly. Now Strasburg 7-0 coming in. His team was 9-0, and going back to last year, they've won the last 13 times he's made a start. Trying to make it 14 tonight, protecting a 5-2 lead in the 7th. Antonio Bastardo up in the Mets bullpen. On the corner, and now it's 2-2 to Kelly. Juan Lagares is out on deck to pinch hit. Campbell at second, Plawecki at first, and 1 out. 2-2 from Strasburg, and Kelly fouls off the fastball. So Ty shaking his head after that second strike. I don't know whether that was more about the call or about nobody throws 95 in the black like that in the PCL.
No, it's about the call. You mentioned it, that he's a guy that usually has good strike zone discipline, and he thought that ball was a ball.
Two, and he fouls off that one. Wastes away the curveball to hang in there.
That was a nasty pitch. Good job by Kelly. Keep himself in the at bat. Hard breaking ball, down and in, and just gets it off the end of the bat.
Tyler Patrick Kelly, his first game in the major leagues, up in a big spot in the 7th inning.
Struck him out with a changeup last time. Be interesting to see if Strasburg goes back to that pitch.
Strasburg and Ramos had a little trouble coming to an agreement. 7th pitch of the at bat coming to Kelly. And he dribbles one. It goes foul. Well, Kelly has fouled off 3 tough pitches in a row.
Yes, he has. Comes frustrating too as a pitcher out there when you're making your pitch and the hitter's getting a piece and staying in the at bat. It's like, can I continue to make these pitches? You feel like sometimes you might make a mistake.
Again, the 2-2. And he fouls back the high fastball. That's 4 foul balls in a row after he took that second strike. Dusty Baker decided to stay with Strasburg for one more batter. And Kelly is making Strasburg work. 9th pitch of the at bat coming up. And Kelly goes down on strikes for the 3rd time. Strikeout number 11 for Stephen Strasburg.
Well, it's one of those cases of just country hardball. Reared back and threw it as hard as he could right by Kelly. Foul tipped but hung on to by Ramos.
So now with 2 out, the pitcher's spot due up, and rather than using his lone left-handed bat, Terry Collins is going to go with Juan Lagares. Interesting, right? Because if he puts up De Aza, they probably bring Rivero into the game, and he ends up using Lagares anyway.
That's right.
So he'll opt for Lagares against Strasburg here. And here comes Dusty Baker. And what does he do? Well, I guess he has to bring his lefty into the game. So that plays right into Terry's hands. Terry wanted Lagares to face the lefty, and that's exactly what's going to happen without wasting a player. He figured Dusty probably needed to pull Strasburg because he was at his pitch limit, and it all worked out.
Pitch count he played too.
Yep. So Strasburg out after 108 pitches, but the Mets will get the matchup they want with Lagares facing Rivero. Lagares will be the tying run at the plate. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 5-2 Nats in the 7th. We'll be right back. Six and 2/3 innings. Felipe Rivero comes on to relieve him.
And a good matchup for the Mets. Lagares has been hitting left-handed pitching well, but Rivero has been a different cat this year. Outstanding stuff. Throws over 95 from the left side.
And Lagares takes one way outside from Rivero for ball 1. Remember last year in that series in September, Rivero had all sorts of problems with his control, but he's walked only 5 batters in 20 innings this year. Lagares started last night in center, went 2 for 5. And he takes a high strike, 1-1. Rivera just 24 years old, 49 games last year with the Nats, 22 more this year. Part of a Nats bullpen that has really hit its stride. Campbell at second, Plawecki at first, and Lagares goes after the slider and misses. 1-2.
Good down and in slider from Rivera. Decent block by Ramos. Kevin Long crew needs a big hit from Lagares. 2-out hit.
Campbell and Plawecki the base runners. Lagares 3 for 9 as a pinch hitter this year. Rivera ahead of him 1-2. Tried to jam him, and Lagares fouls it off. Strasburg threw 108 pitches over 6 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs so far, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, 1 home run. One and 2 to Lagares, and he struck him out to end the inning. So Rivera comes in and gets 1 huge out, and the Mets settle for just 1 run in the top of the 7th. Stretch time, 5-2 Nats.
And if you'll indulge me for one moment, I simply want to repeat a line that I said over and over and over again for 17 years. Hello, everybody. This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy at Shea Stadium in New York. Thank you.
Mets Hall of Fame induction day 1984. The Mets' 3 original broadcasters admitted to the Mets Hall of Fame: Bob Murphy, Lindsey Nelson, and Ralph Kiner.
You know, it's interesting. I was there for that, but I didn't know the significance of those 3 guys till later in my career with the Mets.
Well, remember that for the first 17 years of the Mets' existence, from 1962 through 1978, those 3 men called every pitch of every game on both radio and television.
Wow.
Antonio Bastardo in to pitch the bottom of the 7th. And that was a Tame jacket from the Lindsey Nelson collection.
It looks like a patchwork quilt.
Without Lindsey Nelson, there would have been no Craig Sagan.
Or how about Don Cherry? You want to take it north of the border?
Right. Ben Revere hooks one down the line. Foul. Just barely missed an extra base hit. The startup pitching for the first time in 5 days. He had been very heavily worked, and now all of a sudden has had himself a break. Worked 2 innings in Harvey's last start out of the bullpen.
So they celebrated in '84 because that would have been the 20 years reunion of '64 at Shea Stadium. Is that why they did it? Or
I just think it was time. You know, Lindsey had left the Mets and gone out west. He worked for the Giants for several years, and I think at that point he had either just retired or he was about to retire.
I remember him because of the Cotton Bowl. He always did that every year.
And Notre Dame football, of course, the taped Notre Dame games that came on the air at 11 o'clock on Saturday night.
That's right.
With Paul Hornung as his color man. Revere hits it deep to right field. Granderson back near the wall, and it's out of here. A rare home run off the bat of Ben Revere. Revere's first home run of the season. And just the 5th of his major league career.
Well, his last at bat, he chased Cespedes all the way back to the 402 sign. And this time he jumps Bastardo to get that run right back for the Nationals. I mean, no follow through at all. Kind of a Utley looking swing for Revere.
Fourth home run of the night, and now Worth takes one down the left field line, hooking, foul. So last night it was the Mets with a 3 home run barrage. Tonight it's the Nationals showing their power with 4 home runs. Zimmerman, Rendon, Murphy, and now the least likely of all, Ben Revere. Revere played 3 full years in the major leagues. 2 in Minnesota, 1 in Philadelphia, without hitting a single home run. It wasn't until his 4th full season in 2014 that he hit the first 2 home runs of his career. And then he had 2 more last year, and now his first of this season. City probables for the day game tomorrow. Final game of the series. Steven Matz looking for his 7th straight win. Tanner Roark goes for the Nats. Mets will face him for the first time this season.
Roark had a 15 or 16 strikeout game this year already. Guy that was taken out of the rotation last year. Really was nowhere because he put him in the bullpen and he was really just a long man.
Well, with Jordan Zimmerman moving on, it created a space in the rotation. Hooked in the air to left, and Conforto coming on. And Worth is retired, 1 out. You could win a Ron Darling autographed baseball. Just follow @SNY on Twitter. Retweet our tweet about the 86 weekend sweepstakes, and you will be entered to win. By the way, the big ceremonies honoring the 1986 team will be Saturday night. It's a 7:15 game. The ceremonies begin at 6:15, and I've been asked to ask all fans who are coming to the game to please be in their seats promptly at 6:15 so they will not miss a single moment of the ceremonies. Now, we can't vouch for whether Keith will be there on time, but fans, please, in your seats by 6:15.
Show doesn't start till Keith gets there. You know that.
That's true. 1-1 to Bryce Harper, who delivered a sacrifice fly his last time up. 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series. Nationals 6, Mets 2, bottom of the 7th. Grounded to Walker, and he throws out Harper 2-away. I remember the 20th anniversary celebration of '86. That was at Shea in 2006, and you guys walked down through the stands.
That was really cool, and it just started to drizzle a little bit, and that was really the first time I had ever walked through the stands at Shea Stadium. It was that reunion. It was fantastic.
I remember we had you mic'd up that night. It was the first time I ever heard you use the word verklempt.
That's right. I didn't know what to say. But that hasn't changed. I very rarely know what to say now. But it was a surreal experience, and you just, as a former player, to hear the fans, react like that. It's just you can't believe that 20 years ago then, and 30 years now, that people still care and care a lot.
And they care very much.
Yeah.
And it's. I don't know if it's different in other franchises where you have, if you're a Cardinals fan, do you revere each World Series championship team the same way that the Met fans hold dear their two very special world champions?
Embarrassment of riches, you mean, for the Cardinals fans?
Sure. Or, any franchise that has had more on-field success in terms of World Series championships than the Mets have. And the Mets have had two World Series champions, and they both were singular in their own way. And maybe it's just the nature of those two teams, because the '69 team was so unexpected and the '86 team was so colorful, and because the postseason evolved the way that it did with the two seminal Game 6s.
That's right.
So it's hard for me as a Met fan to unpack all of that. As Murphy pulls one to the right field for his second hit of the night. Seems Murph gets 2 hits every day.
He does. Out front, but stays back with his bat and able to just one-handed flip that ball into right field. This is why Murph has the multi-hit games, most hits in baseball, highest average. Maybe it's because of what the Royals did last year, but it's unbelievable to be honored for the 30-year anniversary. And I played on a championship team. I would like to call a championship team, and I think it's time for. We've had our run in the sun. It's time for a new team to be here with the Mets to be champion.
Zimmerman's 2 for 3 tonight, a single and a home run. I guess what I'm saying is that even when the Mets do win their next championship, it's hard to recreate the circumstances that produced the first two.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Although, you know what? If they had won it last year, there were plenty of circumstances in that season, too.
Absolutely.
And I think, regardless of what happens this year and beyond, I think 2015 will be a memory that Met fans will hold very dear, because there was so much in that year last year that I think will be remembered 10, 20 years down the line.
Well, until the trade for Uribe and Johnson, and then later Cespedes, the Mets were a 500 team.
Right.
And really were going nowhere because they didn't have the offense to get enough runs for their pitching. And all of that changed when those 3 players were acquired.
Well, I'm thinking 20 years from now, fans will remember Wilmer Flores' tears and the walk-off home run 2 nights later. They'll remember the Meadowlands call,
of course,
to the post. They'll remember Cespedes' incredible run, and of course they'll remember Murphy and his postseason dominance.
Right.
And those are all things that I think Met fans who followed the team last year will remember for decades to come. Runner goes, and Zimmerman strikes out to end the inning.
I also think they'll remember Syndergaard throwing the ball over the head of Escobar.
That too. Nats had a run on the Revere home run and lead 6-2. Starters tonight. Matt Harvey gave up 3 home runs in his 5 innings of work, charged with 5 runs, only 1 strikeout. Steven Strasburg 11 strikeouts over 6 2/3, and it's 6-2 Washington as we start the 8th. Curtis Granderson facing Felipe Rivero, who came in to get a huge out to end the 7th. And Granderson hits one right into the shift. Espinosa for the 2nd time today playing right behind the bag throws out Granderson. Sean Kelly is up in the Washington bullpen. Here's Cabrera, who provided the first Met run today with his 3rd home run of the year. That came in the 4th inning. Mets had a brief 1-0 lead, but Nats hit back-to-back home runs off Harvey in the bottom of the 4th. They had 3 more in the 5th. Cabrera batting right-handed for the first time tonight, hitting .317 as a right-hand batter. I think both he and Walker have hit much better than expected from the right side, although the Mets as a group have struggled against left-hand pitching. At least they did until last night when they beat up on Gio Gonzalez.
That's right. A little more aggressive last night against Gio.
Well, they'll face at least one lefty in the series against the Dodgers this weekend. That Kershaw guy.
Well, Kershaw will be trying to close out his May. He's 5-0 this month with 3 shutouts. ERA what, .64, 2 walks, and absurd amount of strikeouts.
One-two coming, and Cabrera takes strike 3 called. 96 on the black from Rivero for the 2nd out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. By the State Farm agent of the game, Hector Camillo of the Bronx. Contact Hector at HectorCamillo.com. And by Land Rover, above and beyond. Well, with the Mets scheduled to face Kershaw again this weekend, it certainly is an entertaining discussion. Kershaw, Arrieta, and maybe throw Chris Sale into that conversation. Who's the best pitcher in baseball right now?
Well, to me, it's Kershaw because of his body of work. Chris Sale had a strong year last year, tons of strikeouts, 14-12 record. Not all of his fault because the White Sox were not a great ball club. Arrieta's had a 1.5 year or 2-year run. It's been amazing. Kershaw's, I mean,
6 years now.
6 years, and he's getting better.
I mean, his run right now, he doesn't have the innings and the complete games because it's not possible these days, but it's almost Koufaxian.
It is.
And you know, that's almost blasphemy, especially for folks who follow the Dodgers, but he's really at that level that Koufax was in the prime of his career. Conforto takes one down the line, slicing, and goes foul.
Hopefully I got these right. The truck sent me some numbers that in the last calendar year, Kershaw's 21-5 with a 1.42, 32 walks, 321 strikeouts. 323, apologize. 10-1 walks to
crazy
strikeouts. Strikeouts to walks.
But then again, what's Arrieta done over that span? Almost as good. It's an interesting conversation. Sale, by the way, is not going to win tonight. He just got knocked out in the 4th inning by the Indians. So he's not going to go 10-0 in his first 10 starts.
Able 5 earned runs over 3 1/3.
One-two from Rivero, and Conforto goes down on strikes. Rivero faces 4, strikes out 3. That's 14 strikeouts for Nats pitching tonight. 6-2 Washington in the 8th. the 8th for New York.
Well, Henderson has been a great surprise. 22 punch-outs in his 15 innings of work. When he gets rest, he's been highly effective.
By the way, did we mention that when Ben Revere homered against Antonio Bastardo, it snapped a string of 16 1/3 scoreless innings for the Mets bullpen?
No, we did not mention that.
Well, we just did. Mets bullpen came into the night with the best ERA in the major leagues at 2.29. Anthony Rendon leads off against Henderson, who is fresh off his rematch with his old franchise, which went very well for him over the weekend or against the Brewers. Pitched on Sunday, allowed no runs and 1 hit. It's kind of a special outing for Henderson against Milwaukee, team with whom he came up to the big leagues as a 29-year-old rookie.
Henderson wasn't available in yesterday's game. It was Victoria Day in Canada, so he's off.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Did Joey Votto take the day off too? Well, apparently he did. They got shut out by Kershaw. Anthony Rendon, not Canadian.
No. Where did Rendon go to? Rice?
Rice.
Yeah.
And Henderson ties him up, and Rendon went around. So Henderson fans the first man to face him.
Pitch is supposed to be away. He ran in on Rendon, fooling him. You don't see him take many swings like that.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Wilson Ramos, who's been up 3 times and grounded out all 3. Mets 2 runs and 4 hits. The Nationals 6 runs and 10 hits. The Nats have hit 4 home runs tonight. Zimmerman and Rendon back-to-back in the 4th. Murphy a 2-run shot in the 5th. Ben Revere a solo shot in the 7th. Over 2,700 plate appearances for Ben Revere. 5 home runs. So it averages out to about 1 a year.
Well, Denard Span was like that also when he was here.
Now he's become a slugger.
That's right.
That's in the air to deep left center field. Conforto back onto the track near the wall, and that's out of here. 5 home runs tonight for the Nationals. Number 5 for Wilson Ramos to make it 7-2.
Well, this has become a anything you can do, we can do better kind of game for the Nationals. Watch the Mets in their power last night, and now 5 home runs.
Nats came into the night with 50 home runs, 13 behind the Mets. Mets have hit 1 home run tonight. The Nats have hit 5.
Well, Ramos has gotten off to a quick start this year after a subpar year last year with the bat.
That's drilled to deep right field. Granderson back onto the warning track, and he reels it in off the bat of Espinosa, who was trying to add to the Nats' season high total of home runs. So 2 out. Now Clint Robinson will pinch hit. Robinson never made it to the plate last night. He was on deck about 6 times.
He was.
Had himself quite a season last year as a 30-year-old rookie. Final game of this series tomorrow afternoon. Stephen Matz against Tanner Roark. Our coverage begins at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon right here on SNY. Nats took the rubber game of the series in New York, and the Mets will probably be going for a rubber game win tomorrow.
309 at bats for the rookie last year with 26 extra base hits.
So you got Henderson, who made it to the big leagues at age 29, against Robinson, who made it as a rookie at age 30. Not too many of those cats around.
Kelly in the lineup, who's finally made it to the major leagues. What'd you say his age was? 27?
Yeah, he's
a youngster.
A mere pup. Compared to the time that these guys toiled in the minor leagues.
I've said this before, but I'm always amazed by those guys that can stick it out in the minor leagues. I hated almost every day I was in the minor leagues. Every single day.
And you started in Double-A.
I know. Can you imagine?
Imagine if you played in the Bush League.
And I went to every big league camp. I never went to a minor league camp. So I was
spoiled.
Lucky. Spoiled. Absolutely. Still spoiled.
Grounded into the shift. And Walker's there to field it. And that retires the side. But Ramos adds the Nats' 5th long ball of the night. And Washington takes a 7-2 lead into the ninth. In just a bit, we go to the ninth inning, 7-2 Washington. Sean Kelly will try and get the final 3 outs for the Nats. Former Yankee comes in to face Yoenis Cespedes, who has 2 of the Mets' 4 hits tonight, a single and a double.
Kelly's got a good fastball that he spots, but his go-to pitch, signature pitch, is that hard slider.
0.00. That's good, right?
Yeah, well, especially after you just signed a big contract.
I mean, it's May 24th. He hasn't allowed a run yet.
Are you trying to jinx him?
In fact, the Nationals bullpen has been spectacular lately. Last 13 games, 0.50 ERA for the Nats pen. And Rivero was on top of his game, retired all 4 with 3 strikeouts. 2 balls and a strike to Cespedes with Walker and Campbell to follow. Cespedes is line to right, line to single to left, line to double to the left field corner. Line, line, line. Fly. Left center. And Revere is over there. Not a line drive from Cespedes. 1 out of the ninth.
He threw the bat down because he knew he missed that hanging slider.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Walker, who's 1 for 3 on the night.
So Cespedes in 5 games here is 10 for 22. With 4 doubles, 3 home runs.
You're saying he likes it
He
here.
loves it here.
Hope he doesn't love it too much.
That's right.
Remember, he can opt out after this year. Taken high by Walker, 1-0. Coming up tonight after the postgame, Geico Sports Night. Baseball night in New York. Wilmer Flores started his rehab tonight, and that's 86 celebration. Be in your seat 6:15 Saturday.
I know. You're doing a great job of making sure that all the folks are there.
I was asked to remind them, so I'm trying to comply. 1-2 to Walker.
Well, it's only our 11th year. It's time to
comply.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of that. Sean Kelly from Austin P State University. The Governors. 2-2 to Walker. There's your Mets box score, brought to you by Verizon. Cespedes with 2 hits tonight. Cabrera with a home run. And not much else to talk about on the night with Steven Strasburg. Greatly outpitched Matt Harvey.
Well, there's going to be plenty to talk about after the game for the Mets brass and coaches, as you know, they gather around and try to figure out the Matt Harvey situation.
Well, that's going to be the first question that's asked of Terry Collins, and you know, it's going to be an organizational decision to try and figure out what to do next with Matt, whether he makes his next start against the White Sox on Monday. It's inside to Walker for ball 4. Whether he skips a start, you know, do you, I know this is bizarre to even talk about, but do you know, not pitch him again in front of the home crowd and maybe save him to pitch in Pittsburgh on the road trip?
Boy.
Where do you send him to the minor leagues and try and get him righted there?
Yeah, it's not an easy decision. Very, very difficult. You know, my job up here is to probably say what I think about Matt. And if you asked me 4 days ago, I would have said, you know, the only way to get out of this is to pitch. But I think that the problem has gotten so big that, you know, my analysis would be that he has to do it someplace other than the major leagues right now.
Well, sometimes it can be as simple as hearing a different voice.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Frank Viola is in Vegas, tremendous pitching coach, very successful big leaguer who had hard times of his own, has been a great communicator with the young Met pitchers who come up through the system. And that's not to say that he would say anything different than what Dan Warthen is saying, but sometimes just hearing it from a different voice can help.
You know, the problem that you would have and you'd think about is that anytime you're sent to the minor leagues and you are a major league player, and Harvey is just struggling right now, it's embarrassing. You know, it's you know, at some point you got to go down and
is it any more embarrassing than what's happening right now?
No, it's not.
And I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
Walker hooks one down the left field line toward the corner. That ball is in play and out of here. A 2-run homer for Walker. Just got it over the railing and into the crowd for Campbell. A 2-run homer to get the Mets within 7-4. So Campbell's first home run of the year. A 2-run shot that just made it over the wall.
Well, just a hanging slider left inside, and nice job with one hand by Campbell just to line drive this home run over the fence, one-handed.
And that just made it into the flower bed above the left field wall.
And now the home runs by Ramos and Ben Revere really weigh heavily.
So now it's 7-4, and that'll get Jonathan Papelbon up in the Nationals bullpen. Kelly had been unscored upon this season. I guess we did jinx him. A walk and a 2-run homer have put the first 2 runs against his ledger. And now Plawecki takes the pitch low for ball 1. Papelbon just now beginning to loosen up.
And there's some flowers just over the fence, and that's where it went and disappeared.
1-1 to Plawecki, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight.
They have the same thing in Philadelphia, right? They have some flowers right over the wall.
St. Louis as well, I think. One and 2 to Plawecki, and he struck him out with a fastball for the second out.
Another 0 for tonight by Plawecki. Fastball cutter really by Kelly that was down the middle, but over the bat of Plawecki.
And so the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Tyler Patrick Kelly meet Sean Andrew Kelly. They should be dressed in green, shouldn't they?
That's right. Boy, Kelly's in an unenviable position.
Which one?
The one at the plate.
Sean Kelly, who has the extra E in his last name. Ty Kelly trying to avoid a golden sombrero in his big league debut. But he's ahead in the count 2-0. Alejandro De Aza would be next if Kelly can keep the game going. And he grounds one to Murphy. Nice easy hop, and that'll do it. Campbell hits a 2-run homer in the ninth, but the Nats win the ball game to even up the series at a game apiece. Steven Strasburg 6 2/3, struck out 11 for the win, and Matt Harvey takes his 7th loss of the season.
Well, 5 home runs for the Nats, and